As the circular economy is gathering momentum in the wood sector, the assessment of the circularity of wood products is becoming more and more important. Establishing a set of criteria was one of the main objectives of the WoodCircus project. In addition to scientists and experts, many industry stakeholders across Europe worked together to create a harmonized set of criteria that is in line with the triple bottom line. This means that the criteria were critically selected in eye of social, economic, and environmental factors. In this video, Asta Partanen from nova-Institut and the WoodCircus project presents the criteria to measure the circularity of wood products. For further interest, find our interview with her, where she points out the benefits and the role of this assessment system.
Criteria 1. Share of reused, recycled, or co-used wood, or the percentage of second-hand wooden biomass. This criterion is looking at the wooden raw material input on production level and how much of that input is reused, recycled, or co-used. It reflects a critical element of the circular economy by quantifying how much material is kept in use via reuse or recycling. Often the necessary information for this criterion is readily available, for example, via recycling rates or ratios. Good practices show an increased share of reused or recycled materials in comparison to established processes on the market. Criteria 2. Recycling potential, or the capacity to reuse materials. The criterion looks at the end of the process chain and considers whether and to what extent a product can be recycled at the end of its utilization, which is of course a key element of the circular economy in order to keep materials in the loop. Good practices for the criterion can cover a wide range of aspects. As many steps can lead to increased recyclability. Some examples are higher quality and purity of the wooden biomass, products designed for recycling or disassembly, closed loops for recycling, collection networks, down and upcycling alternatives, and so on. Criterion 3. Waste management, or the wise use of waste. This criterion considers how wooden waste along the wood value chain is managed. Proper wooden waste management facilities an increase in materials available for reuse and recycling and minimize losses of materials circularity. Good practices of this criterion are examples of particular efforts to minimize losses. These can range from companies with self-initiated waste collection and sorting systems, clever separation and treatment of different woody parts such as branches, wood knots, sawdust, but also region or nationwide waste management systems that centralize waste management. Criterion 4. Product lifetime, or the durability of products. The product lifetime is another important criterion on the way to circular economy. In a circular economy, maintaining the first use of product for as long as possible is principally the best approach to closing resource loops. Since additional resources for any form of refurbishment, remanufacture, reprocessing, or recycling can be avoided. Good practices of this criterion prolong the product lifetime in ways that lead to an important improvement compared to the product group's average years of use. Criterion 5. Impurities of product or purity of the product. Another relevant issue for the reuse of wood is the presence of impurities in the product. Such impurities can be detrimental to circularity, either due to mechanical issues with recycling or because health or environmental concerns require specific treatment of the material. Good practices of this criterion reduce impurities in their wooden products via reducing chemical additions, using improved alternative chemicals, less or improved adhesive, or allow specific separation or treatment of less pure parts of a wooden product. Criterion 6. Energy efficiency or the energy demand. Another rather straightforward criterion is the energy efficiency of a product. If the same product can be produced with less energy, this results in an overall increase of resource efficiency, a cornerstone of the circular economy. Good practices of this indicator focus on the process efficiency, and the different processing steps are often creating synergies with their processes. For example, utilization of waste streams for energy recovery or reduce the number of production steps. Criterion 7. Sustainability of the wooden biomass or sustainability labeling. Sustainable wooden biomass is a relevant aspect for a circular economy, as the term itself indicates that the amount of wooden biomass sourced is in line with the amount that regrows, leading to circularity of wooden biomass availability. At European level, the wood sector has well implemented certification of wood resources like the FSC or PEFC, which can be considered as market standard for sustainable wooden biomass. Good practices of this indicator consider and showcase pathways that further ensure the sustainability of wooden biomass, for example, via increased transparency along the value chain. Criterion 8. Innovation or newness. This criterion considers the innovative aspects of a product, which means looking at truly novel and innovative approaches that improve production standards. Innovation is an important piece towards the transformation towards a truly circular economy. In particular, in areas where full circularity is not possible with current established technologies. Good practices of this criterion can be new technological developments such as digitalization, novel business models, design concepts, innovative technology like machinery, or processes that lead to smarter production and application of wood. Criterion 9. Social acceptance or public perception. Somewhat different criterion is the social acceptance of a product made from wood. Acceptance might be quite different depending on topics like the purity and the treatment and from where the wood has been sourced. For a functional circular economy, social and market acceptance are needed for products, technology and systems to be diffused with different markets and regions. Good practices of this criterion lead to an increased social acceptance of wooden products. For example, via novel utilization of a well-received wooden raw material source in a product or by increasing social acceptance of wood as a material in different sectors like construction. Criterion 10. Political and regulatory framework or rules. Another somewhat different criterion is the political and regulatory framework for the wooden value chain. To implement a circular economy, regulation plays an essential role in the implementation of new, fully circular practices. When a legal basis is given, this can be very attractive for new investments. Good practices of this criterion can have an impact on existing regulations and improve the legislative frameworks for many actors of the regional wood sector. Criterion 11, resource efficiency or the wise use of wood. This criterion looks at the efficiency of the wood raw material utilization. Resource efficiency includes, in particular, two main elements, which in combination heavily support one key element of the circular economy, which is to keep material in use. The first element is how efficient, to what extent the raw material is utilized. The other element is whether the raw material is kept in use via cascading use. This is reuse and recycling. Higher resource efficiency also leads to less waste that goes to landfill, incineration, or is simply lost. Good practices of this criterion increase resource efficiency either by getting more out of the wooden raw material or by providing the option for an additional reuse, recycle level of a product. Criterion 12, climate change or emissions to atmosphere. This criterion considers one of the most relevant drivers of our times and a key argument for the circular economy, climate change. A circular economy is a regenerative system where resource input, waste, and emissions are minimized, with tremendous potential to mitigate climate change. Good practices with lower greenhouse gas emissions, therefore, routinely also improve the circularity of the economy. For this particular criterion, life cycle assessment can be a practical, particularly strong tool to verify a good practice. Criterion 13, business economic viability or profitability of actions. The last criterion takes the profitability of products along the wooden value chain into account. Only if a circular designed product or concept is profitable in the long run, it will establish itself on the market permanently and then provide value to society and the circular economy. Good practices of this criterion thereby can be established on a market simply via the expected margin or profit and without the need of long-lasting financial support like subsidies.